So we have seen the thousands of churches being closed down in this country and also in this continent in the last 50, 60 years. And we believe the best way to make the mountain green again, when many old trees down, is to plant new trees and cultivate them well. So the best strategy to reach the population here in this country is to train the church planters so that they can plant churches and they can plant churches again. So this is all the idea behind Amnos Church Planting School.
So you're equipping people that want to become pastors, evangelists, ministers, to go out into the towns and villages and cities in the United Kingdom, yes, to bring people to Christ.
I think the best way is the church planting is through evangelism, church growth through evangelism, and therefore we need to actually go out to the villages and towns and cities to share the gospel with the people, so that the people can hear the gospel and they become Christians and they can come together to churches. And we want to give the incentives, and also we want to give some know-hows, just providing people to get a passion and to actually go into a church planting.
So viewers, if you want to know in detail what is happening, there's numbers on the screen that you can ring and you will get through to the offices at Amnos, and where trained operators will talk to you about how you become a student. And Doctor, you've got an open day coming up, haven't you?
We have open day coming up on Saturday, the 12th of May, from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock at our school, which is 49 Coxley Green Road, Brentwood, Essex. And
people can come to that open day and get a feel of what is happening in the college. And
they can see our premises, they can see our library, they can meet our students, they can see the staff, and also they have a bit of a taste of what is happening in the UK spiritually. And we share vision. There will be some mini lecture as well. Yes, we can answer the questions.
Wow. Andrew, you've been studying at the college for the last year or two?
Actually, it's the last 6 or 7 months.
And you are going to do what?
Well, my vision now is to plant a church, possibly in Tiptree, which is a small village in North Essex, possibly at the end of this year. So the reason why we've chosen Tiptree is because we have been visiting Tiptree for most Saturdays. Tiptree is a village that has a population of about 13,000 people. It has 3 churches, not including the Roman Catholic Church, and only 200 people go to church on a Sunday morning, which by my maths is 1.3% of the village.
Wow.
So it desperately needs something to happen in Tiptree. Tiptree actually has a Christian heritage in that in the late 19th century, the famous Tiptree jam factory was set up by a Christian, and at that time there was a revival in Tiptree whereby nearly 80% of the village used to go to church. So in 100 years it's basically gone from 80% to 1.3%, and unless something is done, then who knows what's going to happen. And Tiptree actually is described as being the largest village in the UK.
Wow.
So, you know, we think that this would be a really good place to see God really move.
And tell me, how was being a student at Amnos helped you to prepare for this? What do you feel the main benefits that you've learnt?
Well, the first benefit that I've learned is actually being with Koreans and watching the way that they conduct themselves, how they live their lives, the fact that they're so serious about Christianity. So I think that's probably my number one thing. But then things like early morning prayer meetings, which I think is absolutely essential if we want to see God move in this country. Having systematic Bible readings, which we do So we're reading the Bible through in a year, but that's been very, very helpful to me. I think as well, the lecturers have been terrific. We have 20 overseas lecturers. They fly in from all over the world to take us.
Wow.
So it's a tremendous privilege for us to be blessed with these people. Plus we have 4 homegrown lecturers, including Dr. Daniel Chabe, who, let me say as a student, is fantastic. So,
wow. And what was you doing before? What was your employment? What was your profession before wanting to become a pastor?
So my background is that I used to be a city trader working in the City of London for the last 30 years. And actually I closed down a business last April, and I was really asking the Lord, what should I do now? And incredibly to me, the pastor of my church told me about some Koreans who were coming here to open up a Bible college. And we actually had dinner last January. And I thought to myself, wow, this is interesting, but it's not really for me. But it just so happened that my business was closed down in April. The college was due to start in October, and I was praying, God, if you want me to go there, stop me from getting a job to go back into the city, and I'll go to the Bible college. So that's the reason why I've actually gone to the college. To be honest with you, when I joined the college, I was thinking more that I would like to be an evangelist.
Right.
But one of our lecturers came and said that the most effective form of evangelism is church planting. And I can really understand why that is the case. So that's my background.
Doctor...
For Andy, he was waiting for the job until October. If not, he wanted to come to our school. He came,
wow.
actually, and then, as before Christmas, he was offered a 6-figure salary job. What did you do?
I just said no.
And you gave it up for God.
Well,
Wow.
But he said, just my passion had now moved on from man making to something else, which is church planting and serving God.
A man with a passion. Doctor, tell me, I've known of many, many Bible schools and colleges and universities, but actually how many church planting schools are there in the UK? Because it seems to me that I don't hear of many.
There are about 9 church planting initiatives, including Amnos is we are 10. Just a few days ago, I checked on the website.
Wow.
But we are unique in a sense because we have 1 full year, 12 months course. It's not just a program, weekend program, or just a couple weeks program, but it's a whole year program. And we are mainly focusing on church planting, training church planting, which means actually evangelism, we teach evangelism. Also we teach pastoral ministry training, and the success of the pastoral ministry is depending on the spirituality of the pastor, so we train on that side as well.
Wow.
And also the character training is also very important, which is very difficult to be covered by lectures. So what we try to bring the balance between theology and the discipleship, which means actually personal walk with Christ, and the practice. We want to emphasize very much on practical side as well. So what we teach at the college, we go out and we do it.
It's so exciting. It's so exciting because I know that the viewers that watch Faith TV, many, many times we get calls from people that want to plant a church, to start a church, and some of those people, you talk to, they're full of enthusiasm, they're on fire for God, but perhaps they haven't got the practical knowledge of how do I do it.
And therefore, I hope the viewers can come to our school. Well, we are only one of the programs, and we do not say we are the only one or the best one. We do not say so. But anyway, I think the success of the church planting school and training is not depending on us. I think it's depending on God's plan. Before actually, I was actually planting. I planted the church among the British people in October 1997.
Tell me about your early career, because because obviously to come and train others to plant churches. has given you a lot of experience before. Tell me about what you've been doing over the last 10, 15...
Before we came back to the UK to open this Amnos church planting school, I served for 5 years on the MV Doulos, which is the OM's floating ship.
Oh, wow, okay.
I was there as a managing director for 5 years. And the exciting thing about this Doulos is that was then the oldest ocean-going passenger ship in the world. It was built in 1914, therefore it was only 2 years younger than the Titanic. It was fantastic to be there. And also that was the largest floating book fair in the world. So we have many books, about 6,000 different titles books on board. Wow. Plus, as more importantly, that was floating United Nations. We had 350 Christian volunteers on board the ship from over 50 different countries. Wow. And I had a great privilege and joy to lead this international community as a director. And the captain looked after the security and the safety side of the vessel. This is a very old vessel. I looked after the community, ministry, finance, personnel, all these things. It was a great experience for me. Before then, actually, I came here to UK from South Korea in 1984 to study at London Bible College. And after that, somehow, the Lord gave me a further opportunity to study a PhD course on New Testament studies. After that, a few years of teaching part-time as well. But as I said briefly before, the Lord led me to plant a church in Northwood, Middlesex, with about 7 committed British people. And we started, and I was there for 6.5 years until I returned to the Doulos to be the managing director. For 6.5 years, the Lord just helped us and led us to go through a door-to-door knocking every Saturday afternoon for 6.5 years. And that was the key for people to come to our church. So I have a bit of academic background, bit of missionary background, bit of pastoral background, like that. But most of all, I want to take the gospel of Jesus Christ from where we are to the ends of the earth.
I know on talking to you previously, you have a real heart to see the decline in churches surpass that we're planting, and churches are growing in every city and country. Tell me a little bit about that passion of how you feel that we can alter this decline.
Well, as I said, I was on the ship Logos and the Doulos all together. My wife and I lived on the ship for actually 11 years. And during that time, we traveled many countries, about 90 different countries. And during my directorship, we visited 92 ports in 55 different countries.
Wow.
But during that time, I have seen the Church of Christ is growing everywhere.
Wow.
Every continent, including Middle East.
Fantastic.
However, there is one continent where the church is not growing and also rather rapidly declining. That is Europe, and especially Western Europe. Now, I come from Korea, and when I first arrived here, I thought this is a Christian country, this is a Christian continent, and still many people around the world believe so. But when I came, just in front of a house was a huge stone building, church building. It closed down, and it was almost turned to Irish pub.
Wow. At
that time. And we really prayed that wouldn't happen, actually. Now this church is reopened again as a church.
Wow.
And I have seen, and later on I have seen many churches been closed down, turned into the warehouses, the offices, and the discotheque, and the offices and the houses, places of worship places of other religions, and it broke my heart, actually. So when I first opened the church in October 1997 in Northwood, I just believed one thing. That was, the Lord will help me, because He must have been sad to see thousands of churches being closed down. Here, a Korean coming here does not speak perfect English, but as long as I say, Lord, I want to open one church.
Wow.
To restore the honor of your name in this country. And I'm sure the Lord will help me, because I believed that Jesus is keener than myself to restore the honor of His name in this country.
Wow. Well, Doctor, we're going to go to a commercial break in a second, but viewers, ring those lines. I know that people are waiting to take your calls, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
The church in the UK has experienced a rapid decline in the last 60 years. There is an urgent need to plant vibrant biblical churches. Are you interested in planting a church but need to be equipped? Amnos Church Planting School offer you a one-year course starting late September in Brentwood, Essex. Our practical evangelism and pastoral training, as well as spiritual and character training, will help equip you to plant new healthy churches.
I would like to welcome you to join our Amnos Church Planting School. Visit us on our open day to find out more about our vision and training.
To make an inquiry on our course or open day, please ring 01277 376 239 or 07792 630 462 now, or register on our website www.amnosministries.org.
So exciting what you're doing. I understand actually that you recently went to Leicester. Now I know a little bit about Leicester because my daughter and my son-in-law live there, and it's a very, very high Indian area with lots of mosques. Tell me about your experience of going there, Andy.
Well, Leicester actually has a fantastic Christian heritage. It was actually the place where F.B. Mayer had his church. So we went there. Leicester is actually a multi-ethnic city outside of London. And we went there basically to have a look at a Sikh temple, a Muslim mosque, a Jain temple, which is an offshoot of Hinduism, and a Hindu temple. So we went there for a college trip, and it was extremely enlightening. We first of all went to this Jain temple, which was the first Jain temple that was opened in Europe. And to me, it was a real shock to see idols in a building that had been formerly a church. It was absolutely shocking. We then went to see F.B. Mayer's old church, which is a place called Melbourne Hall. And it looked slightly run down. It was closed. And I think the congregation is down to less than 150. It probably had 1,500 to 2,000 when F.B. Mayer was there. We then went to a Muslim mosque, which had just had a brand new madrasa built behind it, because apparently they had 500 to 600 young men to study the Quran on a Saturday afternoon. Wow. We then went to a Sikh temple, which is in a former warehouse, which is open 24 hours a day, serves hot food to anybody that wants to come in off the streets. And they have early morning prayer meetings between 2 to 3 o'clock in the morning. I know for a lot of Christians, they find it very difficult to pray at all, let alone 2 o'clock to 3 o'clock in the morning. And so for us, it was such a tremendous challenge to see how aggressive and how well disciplined these foreign religions are, you know, that have come into this country really with the intent of converting British people to their religions. And then finally we went to a brand new Hindu temple, which was absolutely stunning.
Wow.
They had just spent £4 million importing beautifully carved stones, sort of stone by stone, from India to Leicester. So for me personally, it was absolutely eye-opening. And if we go back to Tiptree and see, Tiptree now only has 1.3% of people going to church on a Sunday morning. For me, the challenge is, you know, if somebody does nothing about this, we will be overrun, if that's the right expression, by these foreign religions. Yeah, and so that's why I'm Amnos.
You think we are losing our Christian heritage as a country because we are not equipped to stand up and bring people in our nation back to Christ?
I think that's definitely one of the reasons, definitely one of the reasons.
I want to believe that God restores his church here in the UK and Europe, because this Europe has been the center of Christendom for the last 1,500 years or 2,000 years. And this has been the center of sharing the gospel to all over the world. And all over the world, the Church of Christ is growing. And many people turn back from God in this place. But on the basis of what I read from the scriptures, these days, what is happening here in the UK and Europe is quite similar to in the days of Israel, in the days of Hosea. And there, the whole people turned against God. And God said, I will punish them. I will punish them. But later on, in chapter 11, verse 8 and 9 and 10, God said, how can I give you up? How can I forsake you? He says, I will not just destroy you, or I will restore you. This is the heartbeat of God. And I believe that God will restore this country again with the gospel. All we need to do is actually, we need to do something, even small things. I think small things is enough, because the re-evangelization of the UK and Europe and restoring the honor of God in this place is depending on God's work and Jesus' miracle. As you read from Jesus' miracle story of feeding 5,000 people, Jesus asked Philip, where can we get food to feed all these people? The scripture said that he asked this only to test him, because he already had in his mind what he was going to do. Okay, now I want to believe that Jesus has already in his mind how to feed the spiritual food with millions of people in this continent. And all what we need to do is bring small 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish to him. And Amnos may bring only 1 loaf and 1 fish to him. And that's enough in a sense, because he will do it. But we need to take our part. The divine part is ready. The human part, we need to do it. But with the compassion, with the passion, with the great commitment and devotion to God, and God will fulfill his purpose.
Before we close today, I'd just like to make an appeal to the viewers today. I know that many people will be watching us today from the East Midlands, of Leicester, Derby, Nottingham, those great British cities. If you really want to make a difference today and go out and win people back from Christ, ring that number on the screen now. Talk to people at the Amnos Church Planting School. See how you can be equipped. If you can come down to that open day. Doctor, tell me when it is again. The open day.
Open day, yes, it's on Saturday the 12th of May. It is on the screen now. Well, this is an occasion for people to come and see where we are, what we're doing. They can ask many questions, not to me, but to the students, and they can have a better view.
Fantastic.
Yes, and I think we'll have a good fun, and also a bit of nice finger food there as well. And yes, they can ask many questions. And again, not only the potential students to come, but also people can come and see what we're doing and praying for us, supporting our ministries. They all appreciate it.
Dr. Andrew, thank you for coming on to bringing the gospel to the world. Until next time, we'll see you soon.
The church in the UK has experienced a rapid decline in the last 60 years. There is an urgent need to plant vibrant biblical churches. Are you interested in planting a church but need to be equipped? Amnos Church Planting School offer you a 1-year course starting late September in Brentwood, Essex. Our practical evangelism and pastoral training, as well as spiritual and character training, will help equip you to plant new healthy churches.
I would like to welcome you to join our Amnos Church Planting School. Visit us on our open day to find out more about our vision and training.
To make an inquiry on our course or open day, please ring 01277 376 239 or 07792 630 462 now, or register on our website www.amnosministries.org.